Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series, Series 2, Greedo. Greedo is number 7 from the line and recommended for ages 4 and up, as it does contain small parts. Especially I would see the blaster is probably the smallest part to be worrying about, but does contain small parts, not recommended for children under 3 years of age. This comes to us from the folks over at Hasbro. On the backside, the very small read-up says the bounty hunter Greedo attempts to capture Han Solo in the Mos Eisley Cantina and meets an unfortunate end. Very simplistic in design. The box art, that is, I would say, it's just like a kind of like a black and white image, and it seems to be the case that carries over with all of them. I like it. It kind of gives it a more sophisticated design of packaging. Be sure to head over to www.starwars.hasbro.com for all the figures that Hasbro will be currently producing. I think as it stands now, this line's been in the stores for a bit, and Spot kind of didn't get a chance to pick them up earlier. But Series 3, I think, is already slated to be released, I think, this fall. So there's definitely going to be more Star Wars heading your way. I probably will also do those reviews as well, as I'm really getting into this line of figures. Having said that, Spot's going to take a break, get this opened up, and when we come back, we're going to get a better look at Star Wars The Black Series Greedo. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. The one accessory that comes with Greedo is a very, very small blaster. Though small in size, it's a very nicely painted blaster, as it kind of is like almost like a metallic gunmetal color, but some nice details and very, very nicely sculpted, I should say, for how small that blaster is. You can take the blaster and put it into the side holster there, making sure, of course, it is readily available depending on your feelings as to whether Han shot first or shot second. Such a topic of debate. It's a nice looking figure. I'm so happy with how these figures are turning out. Of course, Greedo with his classic face there. Never quite understood what he really was. It kind of looked like he was a cross between, and I say Andorian. Was Andorian from Star Trek with those kind of front ears, but then kind of looked like a blowfish. He was just a fun looking character, and when he talked, he had this little small mouth that moved. Me. He has a vest, which again can be removed if you really wanted to. I guess you could kind of unhinge the arms and take this off, but really, why would you? Han Solo, yeah, it can make sense. I could understand why you'd want to take the vest off. Maybe if you want to have Han Solo without it, could kind of look like he's coming just out of being frozen in carbonite. But Greedo, you wouldn't want to take the vest off. Aside from the coloring in the vest, I guess the majority of his body is just kind of this green, kind of light aqua green coloring, and then he's got the yellow striping down these sleeves, down the legs there as well. I mean, it's a nice looking piece. You know what? Like when you're collecting Star Wars figures, you may not necessarily, unless you're a diehard collector, you may not collect every single character. You may not necessarily collect Greedo, and I could see why. Greedo, is he as exciting as Han Solo, or for that matter, a Boba Fett? Probably not. And I think of all the figures that sit on shelves, poor Greedo, I think, is probably the worst for that. I see so many Greedos going into retail stores, and it's so sad. Poor Greedo. In the way of his articulation, he does have a ball hinge socket, though because his head is so incredibly big, you can't quite move his head up and down too much, but there's lots of flexibility with moving his head left and right. His arms are on hinge and socket joints. They hinge out, they hinge forward and back. They also have a bend and rotation in the forearm, a rotation and hinge in his hands. Also, let Spot point out the fact that his hands are like a really rubbery plastic. They move quite a bit back and forth. His upper torso does have a ball joint, though it's extremely stiff and I can barely move it. Legs go forward, back, out via a hinge socket in the thigh, a swivel in the thigh, double bend at the knee, and a hinge and pivot in the foot. Now, for comparison, there is Han Solo with Greedo. You know, the funny thing is about the Hasbro figures as well, is that these figures they're not cheap. And I guess it is the going trend for 6-inch figures nowadays. These figures, I think, in my retail stores, they're about $22, $23 a piece. So you start looking at 4 figures, you're already getting close, if not over, with tax, over $100 for 4 figures. It kind of gets expensive. Now the thing with Hasbro, though, is while you could get them individually, I've seen images of 2 packs featuring a Greedo, or probably I guess equally so, a Greedo and a Han Solo in a 2-pack. And they kind of had them in a Mos Eisley cantina area. I don't know if they actually came with tables or whether that was just like a cardboard insert, but you could get 2 figures, and I'm pretty willing to bet that that 2-pack was probably cheaper than getting them individually. So I would say, like, if you have the opportunity and you want to pick these up, maybe look for that 2-pack. That 2-pack probably is going to be your cheapest bet to get yourself both figures. If perhaps you only really want Han Solo and say the 2-pack is like $35, it is, yes, cheaper than getting 2 individual figures, but you know, then it's worth probably just getting Han Solo on his own, and I keep knocking poor Han Solo down. Love Han Solo. Greedo, though, I mean, Greedo, there's not anything I can complain about the figure. He's a great figure, but he's not necessarily someone that everyone is going to want to pick up. Die-hard fans, yes. Casual Star Wars fans, probably not. And that's unfortunately why poor Greedo probably sits on the shelves. Poor Greedo, though, I'm going to give you, sir, an 8.5. You're really a fantastic looking piece, and I'm very happy to add you to my collection. Today's Toy Spot, we were having a look at the Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series 6-inch Greedo. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more videos heading your way, and we're going to have a look at the other 2 figures from the Black Series of Star Wars figures. Stay tuned for those. Thanks for watching. See you next time.